Hello, I'm Hingers, and welcome to Good Game Well Played, your weekly guide to esports news, results, and drama. Always drama. Today on the show, we're going to take a look at one of the most hectic and glorious esports communities out there. But first, the news. The world's largest digital festival, DreamHack, held a satellite event over the weekend in Tours, France, and played host to some of the world's best. Swedish team Fnatic took out the CSGO event, beating out locals Team Envious. Envious took the first map before Fnatic fought back and took the next two to win 2-1 in the best of three. Meanwhile, in the SC2 event, South Korean Parting defeated Gumiho 3-1 in the best of five.
Parting wins!
Also, in legitimacy news, earlier this week, the word esports was added to dictionary.com. Interestingly, they've chosen to go with esports no hyphen and not e-sports, as you might often see, which will undoubtedly result in me having to explain to my parents what this esports thing is. We start this show and suddenly the word gets added to the dictionary? Coincidence? Probably. And now for a segment we are very excited to present, the Good Game Well Played Community Spotlight. So after a bunch of you got in touch about what you wanted to see on Well Played, this weekend I found myself rewatching a 4.5-hour documentary about competitive Super Smash Bros. On YouTube. Now you might say, Hingers, you seem like a busy guy. How did you possibly find 4.5 hours in your weekend to rewatch a documentary on competitive Super Smash Bros.? Well, let's just say that I forgot that it was Mother's Day on Sunday. Anyway, while watching the community-produced documentary from 2013, I found myself thoroughly fascinated with what has to be one of the most intense and hilarious communities on the internet. Let's start with a bit of context. Super Smash Bros. Began with the original Nintendo 64 release in 1999. The game's developer, Masahiro Sakurai, was interested in making a fighter, but the already crowded Japanese marketplace for fighting games forced him to find a meaningful point of difference, and there were two. The first was that rather than having standard health bars, Smash's unique percentage counter meant that there was no definitive end to a life or stock, a feature that keeps hope alive in the game. Compared to other fighters, Smash also had relatively simple controls that didn't require players to learn long lists of inputs to execute technical combos. Instead, the game emphasized decision-making and fundamental control mechanics, which meant things like positioning and APM were really important. Because of this, Smash innately lent itself to competitive play, because it was easy to learn but had a near infinite skill ceiling, so it was almost impossible to fully master. And people just kept getting better and better and better.
It is a game-crazed community that stretches around the world.
It's important to note, though, that this was kind of unintentional. Nintendo and Sakurai have always shied away from supporting competitive Smash, because they view the game as a fun party game and not as a hardcore esport. And this tension is at the core of what makes the Smash community so cool. Competitive Smash grew out of lounge room tournaments in the early 2000s for the GameCube's Super Smash Bros. Melee. Players would challenge each other for cash, and these money matches meant that new players could effectively buy their way into competing one-on-one against some really top-tier opponents for lunch money, sort of $5 or $10. Meanwhile, the rest of the fighting game community never really warmed to Smash because they didn't see it as a serious fighter. As far as they were concerned, it was a game for kids, and this meant it was often ignored by big tournaments. For example, EVO didn't even include a Smash bracket until 2007, 6 years after the game's release. Of course, when they did, it was the second largest event at the tournament because it had spent years building a following in colleges, lounge rooms, and at MLG. And maybe EVO would have included the game if Nintendo had fronted the cash or wanted to sponsor the event. But Nintendo's purposeful distance from esports meant that that was never really an option, and tournaments like this largely had to be run by and for the community. And it's this kind of environment that has made the Smash community so close-knit and supportive to this day. Melee remains a popular competitive Smash game 14 years after its release, but if you want to play it, you need to hook it up on a GameCube with an old CRT TV. So going to a Smash tournament in 2015 would feel a lot like you've just stepped out of the world's most limited and disappointing time machine. The Smash community is also full of surprises. For example, one of the best Smash players of all time is an American guy called Ken Huang, who simply goes by the moniker Ken. He dominated the pro scene for years, winning basically every tournament he entered between 2003 and 2005. Ken even traveled to Japan and competed over there, winning a bunch of tournaments until he was recognized as the world champion. And then he went on Survivor. You know the TV show Survivor? Yeah, Survivor. Ken was a former world champ at Smash Brothers, and then he went on a television show where they dump you in the jungle and they just torment you for months. Who says games don't have transferable skills in the real world?
Playing this game is just like to a new level. Survivor is the next game for me.
This is what I love about esports. It's people who are passionate about something, coming together to do something they love, and just continuing to make it work. And also, one time Chillin' Dude recorded a diss rap in the lead up to a showdown with Leffen.
After all this, you'll be watching your mouth. Ain't no telling who'll be calling you out. Salty sweet go down, you better come correct. Until you win a major, show your elders some respect.
Salient. All right, that is the show for this week. Hope you've enjoyed this tip of the iceberg introduction to the Smash community. If you want to find out more about these dudes, go and check out a documentary on Smash called The Smash Brothers. It's all up on YouTube and it is a great 4.5-hour watch. One final thing. Some viewers were saying they'd like us to hype up some local events that are coming up. So if you'd like us to cover your Esports event, hit me up on Twitter and we'll pick a few to mention every week. Keep the feedback coming in and we'll catch you next week. See ya!
Right when we realize the money match is over, that'll be a cue to throw your controller.